household plants gently slipped from her grasp, and her breathing became deeper, familiar and calm, and only when she'd shifted her body weight slightly and sunk her head into the softer of those two duck-feathered pillows, only then did Albert lean over to his wife's side of the bed, flick the lamp off, and then in total darkness and wearing his trusty blue striped pyjamas, heaved his heavy frame from his fake slumber, made his way carefully past the cumbersome ottoman and the precarious shoe rack. Trying not to breathe, he was silent, he was stealthy. Aware of every creak on the staircase, he used her fluffy slippers as a softener. Cushioning each footstep on the way down at the foot of the stairs was a cupboard, and inside, behind a secret panel, was his costume. He disrobed, briefly naked, guiltily and excitingly nude, in his own house so late at night. The costume, it thrilled him and made him giggle in practically equal measure. Tight jeans, black tie t-shirt with the words Iron Maiden writ large. He put on his leather jacket and his Doc Martens. He went out into the park. Cause you see, Albert went out to see rock bands and stayed up till the morning light. You're only as old as you feel, they say, and Albert was feeling alright. Well, the 77-year-old man headbanging in a mosh pit can go easily unnoticed, especially when everyone else is headbanging in a mosh pit. Although Albert felt uncomfortable at times, well, that was mostly due to the lack of give in his genes. He felt joyful, he felt alive. In fact, the louder the music, the more he enjoyed it. This pastime meant for teenagers, but he embraced the strangeness, the sweat of a stranger, the thud of a bass line pumping through his veins. At one point, Albert threw both arms up in the air, pulled his two middle fingers down with his thumbs, and made the rock gesture as hundreds of kids moved as one, with him in their throng, screaming words to the songs they'd all learned in their bedrooms at home. When the band finished playing, he went out into the street in search of more adventures, reveling in his late-blooming teenage rebellion. Still the clock ticked on in his bedroom at home as his wife, fast asleep, was seemingly unaware he was buying cheap cider and eating an offensively large kebab from a confused high street vendor. He intended to stay up as late as he could, soaking up the motion of cars, but he got himself lost in a park, played drunken air guitar, and still the clock ticked on in his bedroom at home as he recaptured a batch of his youth all alone. Cause you see, Albert went out to see rock bands and stayed up till the morning light. You're only as old as you feel, they say, and Albert was feeling alright. Around 5 AM, Albert found his way back to his street as the sun peeked its face behind a neatly oval-shaped hill, heralding the dawn of the day. He looked up at his house and then down at his shoes, those Doc Martens still as black as the night was 2 hours before. Oh, this has been brilliant, Albert said out loud. And then he bent down, pulled his shoes off and undid his yellow laces, and he tied them together and threw them up to the sun-dusted sky, landing perfectly on the electrical wires, like on the streets of New York, next to 5 other pairs that he'd thrown there before. Quietly opened his front door, poured himself out of his t-shirt and his jacket and his jeans, found his blue striped pyjamas, crept back upstairs, got back into bed and fell instantly asleep. Albert's wife opened her eyes and looked through the crack in the curtains onto a line of dirty black boots. And she smiled to herself, just pleased that he'd made it home safe. Thank you very much.